This is what blew me away. When she first came out with all this, I went, "What an asshole he is," you know. And
everyone did,
as a daddy girl, you know, a girl daddy, I thought, "Oh my God,
girl dad."
I was really angry. And then as he started releasing receipts, you know, all this stuff, I went, "Oh my God, this is crazy."
Yeah.
You know, and I think the tide has totally shifted.
Do you think
completely.
He wouldn't have said anything or done anything if the New York Times article never came out? If there wasn't.
I think that's right. I think, you know, Blake was threatening, you know, months before the New York Times thing happened.
Mm-hmm.
She was constantly threatening different things. At one point she's threatening, "I'm not going to promote this movie if I don't get my way on this. I will go to my friends at the New York Times. I will do these." She has a relationship with this writer, Megan Twohey, and the team behind this whole article. The metadata shows that they were working on it months before it actually came out. They took this civil complaint and they basically just printed all of Blake's stuff, the New York Times. The fact it hit Baldoni, like what? The fact that he hired Brian Friedman, that he had recorded everything. Jamie Heath, he and his producing partner were so smart. When they saw this thing going south in the summertime, they began to record all the texts, the emails, saving them, putting them in a file, which made it very easy for Brian Friedman to put out 170 pages of every interaction. Sadly, she puts out this big thing in the New York Times that slams Baldoni, and Baldoni has backup receipts to show exactly each interaction, what actually happened, and it just kaboomed in her face. And then all of a sudden, and the whole cast, by the way, went with her. That guy, Brandon Sklenar, who plays this, who's like the second leading guy in it after Baldoni, he puts out a link to that article and says, "You've got to read this, and we've got to stand by women, and it's important to do this. A movie is a correction for men, and, you know, men feeling badly about ourselves. We shouldn't do." And then all of a sudden, oh God, he's got documentation on every one of these interactions, and it's not the way she said. And it kaboomed.
Well, except that I saw a clip on your show yesterday, the one that aired yesterday, where he was at the Vanity Fair party, and he was asked, as you said smartly, like, "Why are you even out, and why are you talking to the press?"
He's working with Taylor Sheridan right now on 1923. He's part of this movie. He is the star of the second book, It Starts With Us, by Colleen Hoover. That's now the love story between Blake Lively and this guy, Brandon Sklenar. He's a great-looking guy, super handsome.
But I think he avoided the question. Yeah, I don't think you thought he did, but I think he avoided the question.
He should avoid the microphone. Be off it right now. I know.
I agree.
Don't be talking, because that's what people want to know.
I don't think people think. And especially people.
But you think that Blake Lively should talk and apologize? Don't you think that if he shouldn't talk, then she should avoid the microphone too? Like, everyone just avoid press right now and let it play out, not in the public, but in the legal system?
It needs to play out in the public because, according to what Brian Friedman said on your show, he's not going to stop for anything less than a total 180-degree admission from her that it didn't happen. So how do you do that?
It didn't have to be this way. They made it this way. This is, you know, Justin Baldoni gave up so much along the way to have his movie made. And it got made, and he gave up his credit, and he gave up, you know, wrote a letter to the PGA, and we need to get official, you know, PGA producer credit for Blake, not just a titular, you know, decorative title. She was very instrumental. He did all the things she wanted to do, and she just wanted more and more and more, and it just kept becoming an example of powerful people beating down the little guy and saying, "No, we'll do what we want because we're more powerful than you." And he finally had enough, and he countersued, and they pushed him one little inch too far, and now he's every right to go back and
But he lost everything.
play it out.
He lost. Is he getting any? I wonder.
William Morris fired him, and he's lost a lot of projects, according to Brian Friedman. But what's Brian going to say? I mean, I love Brian, but he's not going to be like, no.
Was Brian your attorney with NBC?
I wish. I'd be a much wealthier man sitting here. I'd be doing the podcast for fun if Brian Friedman was my lawyer.
Well, you're not having any fun doing
I'm
your
having
podcast?
it. No, I mean, of course.
You're having a ton
Wonderful
of fun.
time.
You're having a wonderful time. It's a wonderful.
Friedman he makes people, he scares people.
Yeah,
He's good.
Well, I know that. I have friends.
And by the
that
way,
yeah.
he has no political preference. I mean, he's represented Tucker Carlson, Chris Cuomo, two guys that on either side, and Christopher Harrison and